Live from Delaware, but welcome race fans, one and all, back to the home of Miles the Monster. Welcome to the Dover Motor Speedway. It's for round number 10 of the High Tide Racing League Darter Premier Series as we get set to go racing for round number 10 at the Monster Mile. My name is Old Rambo alongside Austin Estra. We're bringing you all of our racing action here from start to finish this afternoon of what will no doubt be a stellar afternoon worth of racing action. It is, of course, Dover Motor Speedway, a track that has had a lot of history behind not just HTRL, but across NASCAR in general, and Austin, never a track to underestimate.
Absolutely not. This track will just reach out and grab you at the most inopportune moments. I ran a couple practice laps out here. The car setup is pretty daggum tight, so you got to take care of that right front tire. Big 180-degree sweeping bank curves at this racetrack. That means that wall out of turn 2 and out of turn 4 will sneak up and grab you out of absolutely nowhere. And well, if the setup's tight, then it's just that much more likely that you're going to pound the fence down at some point here tonight. So you got to be a little bit careful. Make sure that your car's in one piece coming to the end.
We'll take a rundown of your official championship standings entering racing action here this afternoon. As you can see right now, Dalton Kilroe does remain on top of the points boards, having cleared Nicholas Corcel by 10. Thorpe, Jaden Hobb, Kevin Foster still separated by less than 10 in the fight for third. And then Aaron Smith having to focus more on defense as he has got Brian Dees started the jump at the bit just behind him. Gibson and Bassinger tied for the number 8 spot, but of course it's all the eyes to that battle for the final transfer spot in. Wyatt Walker currently holds it by 10 over Sean Williams.
The big problem for Wyatt Walker is that we do have 2 winners below the cut line here, right? So it is winning your end and the top 12.
It is not. It is not winning your end. It is just points your way in the top 12.
I talked to him last week. After the race. They said it was winning your end. So Benjamin Lacey and Nick Nickerson would be bumping out 11th and 12th.
I see. Well, all right then. So Lacey and Nickerson looking to bump out the 11th and 12th place runners here as they will look to try and fight their way up and into racing action here this afternoon. So we'll see how all this is going to pan out, right? Let's get to the fact of Dover Motor Speedway. It is a track that is well known for those incidents you can have. It's a place where you can run, but you sure can't hide. And anything that ends up top is always going to cross their way down low.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a self-cleaning racetrack, right? Now, if you're right going down into the corner, you're going to wash up to the wall, but then immediately your car is going to start tumbling down towards the bottom, kind of right back across the racetrack. Could catch out a lot of cars, especially because we have 38 cars in the field here tonight. So you get a wreck around the 10th place position coming down to turn 1 on a restart or turn 3 a couple laps later. I'm telling you, it's going to be tough for most of these guys a little bit further behind to dodge that thing. And if we do somehow get to green flag pit stops a little bit later in the event, after about 65 to 70 laps of green flag racing, because that's about how much the fuel tank holds, pit entry here is much crazier than most racetracks. Probably the toughest pit entry on the entire NASCAR circuit, so that's one more thing that you got to watch out for.
With just under 100 seconds where racing action goes here this afternoon, of course, that 170-degree track time going to be a big piece of contention this afternoon, as well as one of the bigger fields we've had for the last few weeks. 38 cars are getting set to roll on out here. We had just under 30 2 weeks ago, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, to around 34, 35 for Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But now we're back up to the numbers of 38, and I feel like this race is going to have quite a few more yellows than last season's race did here, all the way back in season number 2.
Yeah, these ARCA cars are just kind of backed up on top of each other, right? Whenever iRacing introduced this new ARCA car, they put a really big fat spoiler on that thing. There's not a lot of horsepower. Kind of keeps the field bunched together, especially at the bigger tracks, the 1.5 miles, the 2-mile racetracks. You're going to see them all drafting off of each other. Here at Dover, there's a couple different lines you can run throughout the corner, and there's going to be a little bit more field spread than we're typically used to, but nonetheless, the draft's still going to play a part down these straightaways. Maybe you're stuck behind somebody lap after lap after lap, and you just can't find a way by on the bottom. You can run that top side of the racetrack through 3 and 4 or 1 and 2, get in the draft all the way down the straightaway, and just pull up to the car in front with how big this rear end spoiler is on these cars. And you can dive down to the inside and take that preferred groove away from them. So a lot of strategy is going to come into play in this race here tonight, and a lot of it's going to be where we're looking right now, that Echo Park restart zone. That's going to be a tough area for a lot of these guys. I've seen it time and time again at Dover. One little bit of wheel spin, and you could stack up 20 or 30 cars.
Well, with all that said and done, Barney the Flagman going to drop the checkered flag here on on the final warm-up session. And with that, we take things on over straight to what the starting grid is going to look like here for racing action this afternoon. Starting on pole position, it is going to be none other than Benjamin Lacey with 75 Racing's number 7 car up front alongside old school racers Jaden Hopp. From there, row number 2 can hold the likes of Dalton Kilrow alongside Nick Nickerson, with row 3 holding Aaron Smith with PT Autosport alongside Brad Lawson. Row 4 then holds Dustin Pink alongside Wyatt Walker, and closing out the top 10 is going to be Scott Shire and Brian Dees.
Rolling back into the teens just about here in row number 6. We got Jacob Locklear starting in 11th. Ty Marasco for MFRD Racing on the outside there in 12th. And then back in 13th, we got Jeremiah Hobbs starting on the inside of row number 7. Then Brian Zimmerman on the outside there in 14th. Starting in 15th place, we got Michael Keithley, and we got Michael Thornton Jr. up there in the top 10 in points on the outside there in 16th. Ricky Hart Jr. going to be starting in 17th place with Kevin Foster trying to bounce back from last week starting in 18th. Rounding out the top 20 here, row number 10, we got Taryn Amar down on the inside of the racetrack, and then Christopher Passenger also inside the top 10 in points, trying to keep his chug up towards the top of the point standings to lock himself in on points.
And moving on back then down to 21st, we'll get through the rest of this grid quick like here this afternoon, as it is going to be Joey Neeson, Thomas Mitchell right now, 21st and 22nd. From there, it's Kyle Welbin, Matt Sotomayor, Edith Sikorsky, David Lakey, Eddie Hagge, Larry Bell, Matt Crockett, Jonathan Canfield, Carter Villas, Paul Satmary, John Osborne, Connor Gibson, Sean Williams, Nicholas Corso, Katie Gargiulo, Michael Ashmore will close out the 38-car field.
Well, as impressive as that was, I think the admins realized that one pace lap is just not enough here at Dover, especially for 38 cars. So they're actually adding one pace lap onto the circuit here this afternoon. Just give us a little bit more time and give these cars a little bit more time coming out the pit road, right? 38 cars in the field, just not enough time for the cars in the very back to get caught up and make sure we have a nice orderly restart. I think these guys will make sure that the start of the race is as clean as possible. It's going to be tough. I mentioned the restart zone here is unforgiving. It really is. One of the most unforgiving restart zones on the circuit. You're really restarting on the exit of turn number 4. The banking's kind of going away. On new tires, not really too big of a problem, but if somebody stays out a little bit later, you could see some crazy wheel spin and, well, unfortunately, a pretty big accident. I've seen it time and time again here in this place.
A few cars being sent to the tail of the field, one of those being Matt Crockett, another one being the 30 entrant Carter Phillips as a result of VOL's serve. Jaden Hopp going to give a friendly wave to Benny the pace car driver. So we get set to lock this one away and get ready to go. This is going to be an interesting ride, right? And honestly, Dover Motor Speedway, it's one of the races, whenever I see it on the schedule, I always look forward to it because the racing is usually stellar here.
I agree. This is one of my favorite tracks on the circuit, right? I mean, from the broadcast booth, I probably put a couple other in front of it, but from the driver's seat, Dover is one of my favorites. It just takes so much talent behind the wheel, a lot of smarts behind the back of your forehead too. You got to have a pretty big brain to run this place cleanly, run it smart, run it fast, and be able to make passes because this place is tough to pass at. So you got to really work at it. It really lends itself to the drivers that are the best behind the wheel.
Well, we'll get set to see who's going to conquer Miles the Monster this afternoon as the IRC Pace Car is into pit road, and we're happy you're joining us for more racing action here on this fantastic Monday night. Time once again to get the party started as we'll work our way into the Echo Park restart zone. It's go, go, go in Delaware!
Outside line, a little bit better coming down to turn 1, using that banking on the start. Jaden Hopp actually got a better start than Benjamin Lacey, but through the middle of 1 and 2. Lacey starting to roll it back, starting to claw that race lead back. They're going to be side by side for the race lead all the way down the back straightaway. 2 by 2 all through the field as they're fighting up front.
2 by 2 throughout the field. Up front, it is going to be Jaden Hopp who will lead lap number 1 at the stripe. So we are clean, we are green, and we're taking off back down towards turn number 1 this afternoon. Jaden Hopp clear to the top side around turn number 2.
Yeah, that top side, if you can get side by side, 2 by 2 like that, the top side carries a little bit more momentum down the straightaways, and you can really pinch off that car on the bottom. I think when they're single file, you're going to want to be on the bottom side of the racetrack for the majority of this thing. Maybe as the tires wear, you can move up, kind of find some other grooves that work for you. But if you're single file in the early going, you want to be on the bottom. Double file, maybe up top, but here, 2-wide battle. Brian Dees on the bottom is going to win that one out over Wyatt Walker.
And just behind them, the last driver to win this race here in the High Tide Racing League, Michael Thorpe Jr. trying to push his way into the top 10. as he's battling it out with Brian Zimmerman. Thorpe already up 6 on the day, trying to see if he can secure that run around the outside of Zimmerman. Not able to do so. He will be remaining outside of the top 10 for the time being. Trouble behind them as Scott Shire going to get punted sideways. Kyle Wellman goes with them, and caution plays out the first time of the day. And we got one upside down. It's Sean Williams.
Oh, Sean Williams just outside of the cut line here. Needed a good day. Had a pretty decent one at Las Vegas, and here early, I think I saw that engine explode. So that's going to be about 30 minutes of damage repair for Sean Williams. That's a tough break to start this one out, especially that late in that accident.
Tough break indeed. We'll take a look back on what happened as Sean Williams goes upside down. And shock number, I think actually the first car to ever flip here on Green Flag TV at the Dover Motor Speedway, as well, Shire just got in a little bit there with Jacob Locklear. Foster went around, Wellman went around, and then somewhere in the middle of all of this, Williams got hit from behind by Nick Nickerson, slammed into Kyle Wellman. And the force of that alone was able to rip the car upside down.
Kind of weird that Wellman just didn't really have a reaction as he got his car didn't move whatsoever. And it was a little bit of netcode that started off this incident too. Shire was clear on the in the middle, didn't actually have any contact with Locklear, but unfortunately the internet gods took it away. And man, that's a huge impact for Sean Williams, getting that thing tumbling over onto the roof, back over on its wheels. You can tell that thing is absolutely destroyed.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. As take one more peek back. It just gets run over behind and it just careens into the 42 entry. I mean, I have never seen a car go over like that before. This is on board with Nick Nickerson.
It's kind of tough to see a wreck this far out in front of you, right? That's kind of the detriment of the huge fields in the car. They're wrecking in the middle of the corner. You can't quite tell. Everybody trying to back it down. Nick just did not get on the brake early enough and ended up running Williams over. Williams actually did a pretty good job slowing down, all things considered. Just kind of getting, ran over from behind. Really nothing Sean Williams could have done in that scenario.
So Sean Williams upside down. And I actually think I am wrong. This is actually the second ever vehicle to flip over here at the Dover Motor Speedway. The first one, Austin, actually came for the Premier Sim Racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series when they raced here in their opening season. One truck got turned hard to the outside wall of turn 4 and went pretty much barrel rolling down the front straightaway, nearly went into pit road and over that wall. So there's been bigger flips here, but that's the first non-truck flip we've had here.
Yeah, not necessarily a normal racetrack to flip at. I mean, I guess we've seen it in real life before. Logano was taking a pretty nasty tumble through 3 and 4 here about 15 years ago. But all things considered, it's not an easy track to flip at, right? There's not a ton of top speed at this place, right? You're taking the start-finish line at about 130 miles an hour. 165 mile an hour, but that's still not quite flipping speed you wouldn't expect, because down into the corner you're going about 150. And whenever Williams slipped over, I mean, he was going about 30, right? Whenever they made that contact. So at the end of the day, again, tough break for Sean Williams. Feel terrible for him because, like I said, he's in a tight points battle to make the playoffs, and the last thing you need is an engine below one on lap 5.
So Sean Williams, Joey Neese will be the first 2 cars out of this race. We are down to 36. As the iRacing pace car pulls into pit road, Jen and Hop opting for the outside line for the restart here. And the driver of the 00 will jump onto the loud pedal. We're back to green.
Yeah, Hop, this time, with every restart, you kind of get a choice if you're the race leader, what lane to restart in. Jake Hop picks the top side. That's going to be the choice all night long. I'm going to be shocked if I see anybody pick the bottom side of the racetrack for the rest of the night. Hop easily getting through to the race lead. Kilrow from that outside line with him ends up taking second place. So Kilrow from 4th to 2nd on the restart. Lacey's just going to have to settle in 3rd. We still have heavy racing further back in the pack. Connor Gibson down on the inside trying to pick up a spot here coming out of turn 4.
Working their way down the stretch and in towards 3 and 4 this time by as the pack slices and dices throughout the opening salvo of laps here this afternoon. It's been a good, hard-fought race to start this one off, but again, how long will the peace last on the restart here? My bet, not long.
Yeah, we saw that last time, right? I know we were only 4 laps in, but we didn't have a lot of field spread. Everybody was still just all up on top of each other. And we have this long snake coming down the back straightaway, a couple 2-wide battles a little bit further back. But you get everybody in this snake just all hounding on top of each other as Benjamin Lacey gets to the inside of Kilrow, taking second place. It just takes one mistake from somebody. One guy to pound the fence out of 2 or pound the wall out of 4. And it causes a huge stack up that just some people can't avoid. You only really see 1 or 2 cars in front of you. You can't see through that many rear bumpers. So you kind of get ARCA brake scenarios, and go figure we are running ARCA car tonight. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more of those instances.
Of course, the ARC Menard Series makes annual trips out here in the Real World Series as well. Quite a while ago, there was a pretty hard impact into turn 3 as this whole wheel failed coming down into that opening, into that third corner. The driver slid up and absolutely cratered the outside wall. Luckily, they were okay, but yeah, not a soft track to wreck at. You wreck here, more often than not, it's gonna be big. Right now, a lot of the pack starting to single file out. I think maybe we learned some lessons from the opening salvo there, as now you got Paul Sapner, Thomas Mitchell, and more that are under a blanket and battling out for the spots of their own.
These guys further back in the pack still battling, still trying to get everything they can. Tight 2-wide situation coming out of the a little bit further back, battling outside of the top 25. Doesn't matter where you look, you're going to be fighting for every position you possibly can. 24 able to pick up a spot there coming out of turn 4, and even more 2-wide further back. But up towards the race lead, Benjamin Lacey gets to the inside of Jaden Hopp out of turn 2, trying to make this bottom side work. And he's actually got to the left rear down the back straightaway, was able to keep the momentum. Hopp struggling a little bit up top.
Hopp struggling to keep that pace up as Benjamin Lacey seeks the inside. Is he able to take this one away? Coming down the front stretch into turn number 1. Not quite. Jaden Hopp continues to fight around the top side of the racetrack, and you can see just how diligent these 2 drivers are at going out of here for the slugfest. Still up top, and this is a pass that's going to take a couple laps to complete, I think, for Lacey.
It's just so tough. You get stuck on the bottom side of the racetrack. That guy on the outside can hold your momentum up, right? He can pinch you really, really low to the bottom side of the racetrack to the center of the corner, not let you get to the throttle as you come up off of turn 2 here for Lacey. And it just brings the guys further back into play. Dalton Kilrow now trying to roll the top on Lacey as well as Lacey dives it in deep down into turn 3. Another thing is you spend too much time on the bottom side of somebody burning up those tires. All of a sudden 10, 15, 20 laps into the run and your right front tire is just gone. So you got to get the passes done as soon as you get there, or else you might just be crying at the end of these green flag stints.
Dalton Kilrow right behind the battle for the lead, watching on hungrily. He is waiting in the wings. He knows that there's a big fight on the line here, and he might be able to take full advantage of that. Benjamin Lacey takes that one away from Jaden Hopp. Clears up from the bottom side. Dalton Kilrow just a little ways behind them, trying to make tracks as they go. So Lacey from Hopp, from Kilrow, all set to scrap it out amongst themselves. We fight our way back down to the turn numbers 3 and 4.
I'm kind of surprised that Lacey was able to get that pass done as well as he was entering turn 3. He just drove it in much deeper than Jaden Hopp can handle, which is kind of surprising. The outside line, I feel like you can drive it in a little bit deeper, but the inside line just has a shorter turner radius. I'm hearing somebody's wrecking a little bit further back on the comms. I'm not seeing a yellow flag. Finally, the yellow flag's flying. Can't quite find exactly
Carter Phillips
where the accident is just yet. I believe it was in the middle of 1 and 2. Oh, coming down the front straightaway.
Yeah, this is in the middle of the front stretch here, and now he's having to throw that car into reverse in order to avoid losing a lap. He's no, he's going to go a lap down. That's a shame.
That's a lot of front end damage too, so he's got a lot of repairs that he's got to get done on that thing. You're probably going to lose a lap just from repairing anyway. This happened actually out of turn 4. He came to a rest just about entering turn 1, but Wellman down on the bottom side of the racetrack comes up a bit, and he's expecting the 30 to come a little bit higher up off the corner. He's expecting him to track out to the wall just a little bit more, but Carter Phillips didn't quite track up all the way. I say that, it's only about half a car width that he gave to the wall, so I don't want to put it all on Carter. Kyle definitely came up, but tough break for Carter Phillips there here in the early going.
Kyle Wellman just caused the 30 car to smoke that inside wall as they both come to rest up against the inside wall. Gonna get a look on board here with Wellman, see what he saw.
He just took a little bit too much racetrack. And again, he's expecting Phillips to use another 3 inches or so, but I mean, Phillips was just about as close to the wall as you could get. I mean, there's not much room between that right front fender and the fence whenever Wellman got into him. So Wellman just getting a little tight there on the bottom of the racetrack, got into the left rear. Tough break for both guys, but here in the early going, 20 laps in, you kind of expect that. Like I said, coming off these corners, you just get so tight. You're side by side with a car that is naturally tight. iRacing sets up these ARCA car setups super tight as is. You're just going to get accidents like that.
Plenty of drivers down pit road as well this time by. Most of them coming in for fuel only on service. Jaden Hopp, though, has pitted from the lead. He has taken 4, so is Kevin Foster, Nicholas Coruscant, and more. Well, several cars are also in there just to fix up some damage.
You know, that little green flag run kind of shows me that we can get a decently long green flag run here later tonight, right? That was about 15, maybe 13 laps that we had there. And I know that's not incredibly long, but it does kind of bode well for the rest of the race. We saw a little bit of field spread in a lot of spots. Of course, the top 10 all kind of they're close to each other, but most of these guys, I believe, are thinking, man, I got to save tires, right? They don't have a ton of tire sets. You can only come down pit road a handful of times. Looking at their infographic here, it looks like they've got 4 sets of tires behind the pit wall. So you really only want to come down and take tires around lap, I'd say about lap 25 or 30 is about the first time where you can kind of be like, okay, I want to, but with a 38 car field, you come down pit road, you give up 20 spots if a lot of guys stay out on the racetrack. So a lot of these guys just thinking, got to save tires in the early going. One guy that didn't, though, was Benjamin Lacey, using that bottom side to his advantage and able to make that move on Jaden Hopp. Was kind of surprised to see that. I did not think that we were going to see a pass for the lead on the bottom this early in the race.
And Benjamin Lacey, of course, picking up the outside line because he saw how effective that was at defense and he was fighting with Jaden Hopp. So obviously it is in the 7 car's best interest to go up to the outside in preparation for the start here. So we will once again work our way down the front straightaway. Dalton Kilroe holds the inside. He and Lacey, frequent contenders in the Final 4 at the end of the season. And now up to the outside. Oh boy, why Walker into the fence? Lacey breaks away, but Walker's into the fence and checking out that outside line.
That's a bit of what I was talking about earlier. You get a little worn tires, right? We got 20 green flag laps on these things, and it's just a little bit of wheel spin, and it can stack up the field massive. The outside group did a great job not running Wyatt Walker over after he pounded the ball there out of turn 4 in the restart zone and able to get away from it. I'm shocked. I would have thought that one car spinning the tires, getting into the fence, coming through the restart zone would have caused a big, massive melee, but this field did a great job getting through it.
Everyone else behind, fanning out. One of the JBL cars is into the outside wall. That is Yunis Sikorsky. Took a provisional last week and had to skip Vegas. Now he tries to battle his way through the midfield. Right now up 11 as he has just cleared Gibson for 14th.
Dan Sikorsky doing a good job. I saw him in the Discord chat earlier today saying that he has run absolutely no practice, so he thought he was going to be in the back. But man, like you said, up 11, up to the 14th place spot. And looking feisty here, trying to get another position or 2 on the outside of the racetrack. Sikorsky looks like he's got a decent bit of speed.
That'll be Jonathan Canfield that he tries to go on the offensive of. Meanwhile, Dalton Kilroe, seeing if he wants to open up the door on Benjamin Lacey for the top spot. Lacey has been pretty consistent on running that top lane so far, and you can see, again, taking that defensive line, and Kilroe's just not able to get down the inside of him.
Yeah, Lacey able to give him the dirty air down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, not leaving him too much room to kind of roll up on him and make a move. But here, Dalton Kilroe just about getting to the inside, almost giving him the bumper coming out of turn 4, but Lacey's going to get the better drive off the corner. He ran a little bit higher, cut it down at the very exit of the corner. Oh, Jaden Hopp! Jaden Hopp just got punted coming out of turn 4. Couple cars into the inside wall, and the yellow flag's going to be out again. That's the penalty for coming down pit road. Hopp was a top 5 runner, was leading this race early. He came down to get tires, restarted outside the top 20, and all of a sudden he had to check up coming out of turn 4 to avoid running somebody else over. And whenever that happens, the guy behind has to be just as quick as you were, and unfortunately for Hopp, he just wasn't. I think that was Nick Nickerson that got into the back of him.
Take a look here. As this is Paul Satmary right in front of the 00. Satmary had the lift to avoid getting into Connor Gibson, and yep, just stacked him up into Nick Nickerson. Spawning down to the inside. Oh, look at the 65 car go spinning to the inside wall as well. I think that was Caden Gargiulo that got shot down to the bottom side of the racetrack.
Yeah, Gargiulo in the 65 getting caught up in the incident. I hate that for Hop. He's trying to lift just to not run over the guy in front of him, and there Nickerson just couldn't get off the gas in time. Coming out of the corner, you're throttled up 100%, trying to make it work. And, you know, Hop lifted for the guys in front of him. But it's another thing where I was talking about, you just can't see in front of the cars right in front of you, all right? You cannot see by them. You can't see through the windshield or through their rear bumper, right? You get caught up just thinking, okay, I've got to throttle up here. Everything's going to be fine in front of me. And whenever it's not, you got to be able to slam on the brakes quick and hope that the guy behind you kind of has the same reaction time. But in a place like Dover with 38 cars, easier said than done.
Benjamin Lacey will lead a good chunk of the field at the pit road, so Dalton Kilrow will now lead the way at the very head of the field here this afternoon. And so the Real Earth Films number 7 car will be down, he'll be out, he'll be away. Jaden Hopp awarded the end of the longest line for that incident. And, well, we talk a lot about some of the excitement that can be had at a race like this, right, Austin? And, boy, that excitement comes to fruition, especially for the finishes. Take a look at the finish from May 6th of 2024 when Thorpe and Lacey went head-to-head in 3 and 4 in some Gen 4 machinery.
Yeah, this place never ceases to put on a good show here. Thorpe running down, Benjamin Lacey getting down to his inside, through 3 and 4 in the last lap, nearly a bit of contact between the two. Ends up being just a heads-up dogfight to the end. Both cars getting loose, door banging down to the line. And man, I mean, they're both pointing towards each other. I think Thorpe was able to pull that out by just about a couple thousandths of a second, if that.
He sure was.
Very reminiscent of the Darlington finish back in, I believe it was 2003.
Well, that's what we said as well, only for us to have a Darlington finish exactly like that later in the season between Thorpe and Smith.
Thorpe loves those side-by-side photo finishes, doesn't he? I hate to call my shot, but you know,
that finish, I do believe,
it might happen again. I wouldn't be surprised.
I do believe, by the way, if that is not the closest, that is in the top 3 closest finishes in HTRL history, by the way.
Probably both of them are up there, right? So Thorpe Jr. putting his name on the record books here in the HTRL series, getting as close as possible to winning these things, if not winning them, heads up there just by a couple thousand. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar here today. You can get stuck side by side through multiple corners at a place like Dover. We'll have to wait until a little bit later to find out, but we got another field splitting situation. A lot of guys came down pit road. Benjamin Lacey was your race leader. He decides to come down pit road, gets new tires. He's going to be starting way back in 17th place in the mid-pack. So watch for that number 7 to either come through the field as quick as possible or get wrecked trying.
Pace cars in, Dalton Kilrow up top, Brad Lawson on the inside, Marasco and Thorpe, the next pair in line. As green flag is out, and we take off, and this time it's Thorpe that doesn't get a good launch.
He had a good launch, but he got to the back bumper of Brad Lawson because Brad didn't get a good launch, and then that sent Thorpe Jr. Just about spinning. He got to the back bumper because he had a pretty good jump and just ran into the back of Brad. Didn't really have anywhere to go. Good job hanging on to it, though. 2 instances where we've seen cars on older tires have a little bit of an issue through the restart zone and have not had a big stack up from it just yet. Nick Nickerson getting through the middle here, picking up a spot. Hobbs stuck on the bottom side. Brian Dees on the newer tires trying to go through 2.
Larry Bell went way in hot into turn 3, overshot the bottom and lost a good handful of positions as a result, while the rest of the field again remains in lockstep. At the head of the field, Sikorsky, Tanner Marr fighting it out for the last spot inside the top 10, and here comes Foster trying to look for the inside line as well.
Foster diving down to the inside, trying to take a position away. Looks like he's going to easily get that done through turns 1 and 2. Able to go around the inside, I believe, of Tanner Marr, right behind Sikorsky, into the top 10. Ethan still having a good run there up to 9th place. A 53 making a move here on Thorpe Jr. Thorpe trying to regroup from that restart where he lost a position, trying to get it back. Michael Keithley, though, doing a good job here in the top 4, trying to get to the inside of Brad Lawson through 1 and 2. Dalton Kilrow is completely skated away from these guys. It's really a battle from second on back, and it's really tight between the guys battling for third. The 53 of Keithley just about got into the door of Brad Lawson there, able to hang on to it, and it looks like he might be able to hang on to that 4th place position. Thorpe's trying to get the run on him coming out of turn 4, and that's Sikorsky hitting the fence further back.
Sikorsky tags the fence further back, and then they're double file 3 rows deep with Nickerson and Lacey trying to look to the inside. New fastest lap of the race. This one held by Dustin Ping. So Ping putting down the fastest lap of the race thus far, and unlike tracks where draft is prevalent, very, very difficult to take that fastest lap away once someone has gotten hold of it.
Just depends on how the track evolves over the course of this race, right? We're sitting around 154 local time here in the sim. It's going to get a little bit hotter from here on out, right? You got to think that it's going to climb a couple degrees as we get to 2 o'clock, get to 3 o'clock in the sim. So likely this is probably the best conditions you're going to see on the racetrack all night. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody was able to eclipse that fastest lap, but it might be not until the very, very end of this race when we're all going full tilt on a new set of tires.
The field right now is absolutely on top of it as they all try to see who can get what and who can get it where. The pack continuing to slice and dice as the field is just so tightly packed together coming down the front straightaway. And then turn number 1, Brian Dees pulling clear while Ping and Jeremiah Hobbs are both going to clear from Matt Crockett.
You know, a lot of these guys are on newer tires trying to come through. Some of the guys that have not pitted yet. A couple of these guys have not taken a set of Goodyear rubber, not put it on their car just yet here in the early going, 39 laps in. A lot of these guys saving tires. The guys all the way up front, guys first through fourth, kind of have some room. They can let those old tires breathe and not really use them too hard. Everybody further back, though, is just fighting for their life, trying to not get ran over by the newer tires while trying to hang on to as much track position as they possibly can. Here coming out of turn 4, Hobbs and Ping still side by side. Coming out of the corner, Ping able to duck down to the inside. He takes the spot from Hobbs. Further up though, Lacey on the newer tires, trying to get a pass done on Ethan Sikorsky.
Trying to get that lunge in there, and Lacey can get it done? Not just yet. Still, Sikorsky fights his way up and around the outside of the racetrack. Not a lot of mercy being shown for the time being of this field as you take a look from up top as they fan out through 1, through 2. And I mean, it is just such a madhouse of action on the racetrack. You don't know where to look.
So many different lines you can run through the middle of the corner. You see them just about single filed out down the straightaway, a couple 2-wide battles, but then they get down to the corner, everybody picking a little bit different of a line. A lot of guys choosing that bottom line, trying to not wear out their tires too much, not press the gas pedal down too much to the center of the corner, wear out that right front tire. But whenever you get down to the middle of the corner, you just have to offset a little bit. Get out of the dirty air as much as possible. Get that left front fender in clean. Airs with 3 wide a little bit further back. White Walker on the inside. Hobbs in the middle, just going to live to let both of those guys go as Connor Gibson picks up 2 spots there on the outside line.
Probably a wise idea to lift there. 3 wide at Dover never tends to work out for very long with how the lines just tend to find a way of converging together. As well, now 3 wide again, down the back straightaway. Now look out!
Oh.
Big trouble. Sotomayor turn to the inside, back up into traffic, hard to the outside wall. Calais Canfield, Nickerson involved. Nickerson is upside down, and the driver, the number 2, is tumbling in turns 3 and 4.
Oh boy, that was a big one coming down to 3 and 4. Multiple cars involved. Nickerson is absolutely destroyed. I've never seen a car destroyed that bad to where it's crab walking, the front end's off, the right front tire is at a ridiculous angle. But coming down to the corner here, the 91, I feel like he just turns left. He's 3 wide. I think he reacts to what he thinks is Kevin Foster coming down the racetrack and then just turned across the nose of Nickerson.
And then that sends them hard to the outside wall. Canfield lost control, trying to avoid, and then Tanner Marr piles in, Gibson piles in. Hobbs is the one that really sent that 2 car upside down and tumbling up towards the top side of turn 3 as Connor Gibson just slammed him back down to earth.
And the 91 just came down about 3/4 of a lane. Unfortunately, Nickerson was at his left rear quarter panel. Both those guys going down the racetrack. And, well, what goes down must come up here at Dover. It seems like coming down into the corner a little bit opposite than what you're used to. And a lot of these guys just could not avoid as it's just cars scattering all through the center of the corner. And Nickerson going for a wild, wild ride, just about mounting Connor Gibson there through 3 and 4. That's going to be race-ending damage for Nick.
Oh boy, that was a violent ride, and with that, that's going to bring the rest of the field into pit road, and all of them will now have taken at least 1 set of fresh tires throughout the run.
Yeah, not too surprising at this point. Kevin Foster's done a good job getting himself through the field after the big issue that he had last week. Kind of had a a pass through right off the beginning of the race. Got stuck multiple laps down here early on in this one. Able to kind of use the strategy to cycle himself up towards the lead 1/3 of the way through already. I mean, this race is honestly clicking by pretty fast for how many cautions we've had in the early going. Foster finding himself up front. Dustin Ping also has come down pit road taking tires. D's doing a good job up to 3rd place. All these guys able to jump Benjamin Lacey. I believe they're all on the same strategy as Benjamin at this point, but they've all been able to jump him through the cycles, get out in front of them. But the problem is Lacey's starting in 4th, and the race leader picked the outside. So you got to think Benjamin Lacey's going to come through, potentially take 2nd place on the restart.
Well, Kevin Foster up top, and remember the top 10 have not come down to the road to this yellow flag. Now, even with that, Foster and Hobbs are on 7-lap older tires. Then, 8-lap older tires than Ping, Lacey, Dees, and others that didn't pit. So 2 cars in here have not stopped for a couple of cautions now. And that will also seek to shake up the running order.
Yeah, the tire strategy is honestly all over the place. I didn't expect it to be so spread out as it is, but it kind of gives us one more thing to talk about up here in the booth. A lot of comers, a lot of goers whenever the tires spread out like this. Kind of expect Kevin Foster to try to use this clean air to his absolute utmost advantage, though. On a little bit older tires, just going to try to hang on as much as possible. He's going to be the control car on this restart. Let's see if we have a clean one.
Well, hey, I mean, you got a lot of drivers that are all packed up under a blanket. You got a track that's very hard to pass at. Why not try something on the tire strategy? What do you have to lose? Foster takes off, and he is well clear to turn 1.
And this is what you need if you're Foster, just getting that good restart, completely clearing yourself from Lacey, from Ping, from Dees. And like I said, Benjamin Lacey from that outside group is able to get up to 2nd place. Jeremiah Hobbs limping that wrecked race car down on the bottom of the racetrack, down on the apron. I think he's still got some more damage that he's going to have to fix in that number 3 up towards the front of the field, though. Kind of got the snake going down the front straightaway. Hey!
Hello, John Osborne.
John Osborne just about wrecked it down the front straightaway.
Wicked sideways for Osborne there, coming down in towards turn 1. He's able to somehow gather her up, and now Nicholas Coruscant down low on the racetrack. What the heck is going on as a bunch of cars fade to the inside, and there is Matt Sotomayor in a pit road.
That was a tight restart. A lot of wrecked race cars down here on pit road as well, trying to get as much damage repair as possible to get back out there as early as they can. Up towards the front of the field, though, Kevin Foster getting ran down by Benjamin Lacey. Lacey a little bit quicker the last couple laps, getting up to the back bumper. Now he's going to use that high line, cut it back down to the bottom, coming off of 4, get the run off of the corner, look down to the inside for the lead, but here comes Dustin Payne, just about making it 3 wide for the top spot. Not going to be able to do it. Foster all the way up to the pits through 1 and 2, trying to get the run off the corner, but Benjamin Lacey way down low on the bottom of the racetrack, going to be able to take that spot.
Boy, he really did try for it, didn't he? Ping thought about that 3 wide, decided against it, and probably for the best as Lacey is through. And Dustin Ping looking like he wishes to do the same. Kevin Foster trying to hang on around the outside, but he's going to lose 2nd. He's going to lose 3rd. And I think he's not going to be able to really stop the bleed until he finds a suitable hole.
I think I'd have to agree with you. It's going to be tough here. Foster stuck on the outside of the racetrack, a little bit older tires than the rest of these guys that he's racing around. Just kind of stuck in a hard spot here. You wanted to keep that clean air as long as you possibly could. Now that he's lost it, he's just hoping for a caution somewhere behind him.
Ricky Hart Jr. also in the mix as Hart started his race from about 17th, made his first start of the season last week at Vegas, and now making his 2nd this afternoon. He's going to bang doors with Ty Marasco down the back straightaway. We've got just under 100 laps to go, but again, that contact getting a little bit more up there. Dalton Kilrow now in the mix alongside Marasco. Remember, Marasco, the furthest driver up on the freshest tires.
Yeah, Marasco trying to get through as quick as he can, but you got to do it cleanly as well. You can't be a part of the incident. You cannot find a car coming across your nose or you coming across somebody else's. You got to be absolutely careful as you can coming through this pack of cars on older tires. You just got to pick and choose your moments. Marasco doing a decent job so far, able to climb through the field a little bit better than his teammate Dalton Kilrow, who had completely pulled away from Marasco whenever they were on even tires, racing for the lead not too long ago. Marasco trying to break himself into the top 5 as we're 3 wide further back. Foster continuing to bleed spots.
Boy, that was a bit of a tight moment. I thought for sure we might be getting another one as Kevin Foster still trying to hold on. Wyatt Walker to his inside. Michael Keithley in the mix as well. The 65 of Caden Gargiulo. also waiting in the wings. Gargiulo found himself spun on the front straightaway earlier this race. And yet he has fought his way all the way back up into 16th, although he has just clipped the outside wall again coming out of turn 2.
Gargiulo down to the inside now, trying to pick up a spot from Kevin Foster. Foster continuing, just losing spots. Back to 15th now after he restarted on the front row, up in the race lead. Had the clean air. Once it was gone, though, the bleeding just got worse and worse and worse. Just continuing to lose more positions. Up towards the front, though, Lacey on decently new tires compared to a good chunk of the field. Continuing to pull away from Dustin Payne. But if this thing runs green, he's got to start worrying about Ty Marasco here in a couple laps. Marasco's doing a great job. Got up to the 4th place position, running that middle line through 1 and 2, cutting it down to the bottom on exit, trying to get a nice straight run out of the corner, kind of maximize the length of the straightaway, maximize the time that you can be full throttle. And with those newer tires, Marasco continuing to get up to the back bumper of his teammate, Brian Dees.
Jaden Hopp, you see him losing a lap there as he's going to drop out from the lead lap here with that very damaged race car, just hoping for a caution so he can bring it in and get more damages repaired. Meanwhile, Marasco trying to fend off Eddie Hankey behind. He's going to do just that. Now Dalton Kilroe side by side with Jacob Locklear and will clear him down to the turn number 3. Hart, Thorpe also in the mix, and both juniors are set to duke it out as well off 4. And I feel like I don't say this enough, right? But I mean, this track, awesome for some great racing, exactly like what we're seeing here this afternoon. And boy, High Time Racing, once again, they know how to put on the show.
Yeah, you know, those 1.5 miles, the 2-mile racetracks, we've noticed that, you know, the draft has kind of caused all these guys to be on top of each other for a good chunk of the race and kind of cause more issues. So far, through the first 60 laps of this Dover race, yeah, we've had a couple cautions, but they haven't been, you know, the same type of incidents I feel like we've seen at the 1.5 miles, where it almost feels like somebody's just kind of driving over their head, but it's really because we're kind of running a modified draft package. Here we've got that kind of field separation. And now, obviously, there's still cars packed up on top of each other. As we see a couple 2-wide battles, passenger stuck on the outside, a couple rows back coming down into turn 3, but it's ultimately a lot cleaner style of racing, a lot more traditional, I would say. It's a lot more traditional than we typically see at the 1.5 miles.
And hey, that's part of what makes the racing here so entertaining, is the fact that it really is unlike anything that you see anywhere else on the racetrack. And if you ever want to get an idea of what it's like to drive around here, we'll look no further than on board with Ethan Sikorsky, as he is caught up in this big battle pack. And I think this really does a good job of showing that there just is not a lot of room to work with, as Hart nearly takes out Bassinger.
Yeah, it just gets so tight coming off of these corners. He's coming out of the top side of the racetrack here, going to get a straight run coming out of turn 2, do as much as he possibly can, but there's just nowhere for him to go, right? He's just got to pound the back bumper of the guy in front of him as these guys all packed up under each other, looking out to the inside, trying to get the run off the corner. I like that late apex there from him, but we're side by side for the race lead a little bit further up. Marasco and Eddie Hackey have ran down Benjamin Lacey on the newer tires, and Ty Marasco going around the inside here through 1 and 2. Lacey able to hang on to the right rear as they come out of the corner, but down into 3. This is where Lacey made the move from just diving in deeper into the corner on Hopp earlier. Marasco didn't quite do the same thing. He let the new tires do the work for him on the bottom side of the racetrack, waited until the center of the corner to get that move done, and Marasco is clear into the lead.
Eddie Hankey, though, hot on his heels, looks at the inside of Lacey, clears him for the number 2 spot. So now Marasco has got Eddie Hankey, who was on similar tires to contend with. So the fight very much on for the top spot, while Marasco tries to pull away, but Hankey not letting him get away that easily. We got trouble back straightaway. Jacob Locklear is around to turn number 3. That's going to be a yellow.
Heard Corcel calling that out on the iRacing chat. Don't quite know if Corcel was actually involved or not, or if he just saw it happening. But the 96 sent around, probably down the back straightaway, down into turn 3, finally coming to a rest. You have to get a replay here on board of the 96, kind of figure out exactly what happened. 3 wide, Wyatt Walker in the middle, Aaron Smith way down low. Oh, Wyatt just came up down the back straightaway.
Smith.
Big hit for the 96, but yeah, Wyatt just kind of came up trying to side draft and misjudged it just a little bit.
Boy, Smith and Brian Zimmerman having some absolutely epic avoidances there. So we'll jump back this one just a little bit more here. Watch that 70 car just slip through the middle there. And somehow that only ends up being a 1-car incident.
Yeah, the field luckily had spread out a little bit more there, so we could kind of have some reaction time through the field, right? Wasn't too bad, but unfortunately there for the 96. I mean, just kind of getting taken out down the straightaway. He was all the way up by the fence, just stuck 3 wide, and Wyatt just came up a little bit down the back straightaway, clipping that left rear, and luckily for him, he was able to get through. Luckily for Aaron Smith, it really had nothing to do with it. He was able to get through. But another round of pit stops. Tom Marasco, he'd just taken the race lead. He decides, I really noticed how good my tires were on that longer run, how much they were, or how much of an advantage they were. So he's going to come down pit road, take another set. Eddie Hagge, though, who had come through on his tire tracks, right? He was just running right in the tire tracks. Tom Marasco able to get through to the second place spot. He decides, well, I'm going to keep this set of tires on a little bit longer. I'll take the track position, please.
Right on board with the helmet camera here of Aaron Smith as he came off of turn numbers 3 and 4. Smith into the top 10 now and probably still in the race because he avoided this madness coming down across his nose. So they were 3 wide.
And Aaron Smith is one of the most aware guys in the field, I gotta say. Smith is consistently quick, consistently kind of understands what's going on around him, has excellent racecraft. I think he could kind of feel that one coming right whenever it happened. I think he could kind of feel that contact coming up at the top side of the racetrack, being stuck 3 wide, kind of giving himself an opportunity to get on the brakes a little bit, get off the throttle, coming down to the corner, and just barely missing that thing. Great reaction time from Aaron Smith. Great job getting through there. And a couple of these other guys further back, Brian Zimmerman, knowing exactly where to go after he saw that car spin down to the inside. It's a tough thing in a place like Dover. It is really, really tough to avoid these incidents, especially whenever a car's stuck sideways right in front of you in the middle of the corner.
What is this? I think this is yellow number 5 now, isn't it?
I want to say that's about right, 5 or 6.
I think 5. We are still not at the halfway point. That is about 4, not 4, what am I talking about? 7 laps away, 8 laps away. Is it 8?
I'm done roasting you on your math. I'm not going to roast you on your math anymore. So, you know, we're past those.
Like,
but I'm surprised Eddie Hagge. No. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm surprised Eddie Hagge picked the bottom side of the racetrack though on the older tires. I think he'll still pull away to the lead, but that outside line's still a little bit better. You get a better jump, but we'll see here on the restart. Oh, Lawson just about lost it on the outside there, trying to react to Hagge. That's going to help Hagge get away like he would have on the top, but Lawson on the older tires just about wadded them all up. Only about 5 or 6 cars stayed out on the older tires here. Lacey, now your front runner on the new rubber. Which one of them gets through the pack quickest? Brad Lawson looking to the inside here for second, a little bit further up. Aaron Smith, though, side by side with Thorpe Jr. coming down to 3.
Right now, it's a big side-by-side grudge match as they work out a turn number 4. Down the front straightaway and back towards turn 1. Dustin Ping trying to go from that top to bottom lane as he is going to execute that line perfectly. And look at how quickly that has dragged him to the back of David Lakey and right to the bumper of Ty Marasco.
Yeah, those 3 cars down on the bottom of the racetrack, 4 cars now with Thorpe Jr. All those guys, I believe, on newer tires. Lacey, Marasco, Ping, Thorpe, all of them trying to get through the older rubber, trying to get through to the front of the field. Lacey doing the best job currently. Marasco getting stuck behind Ethan Sikorsky here through 1 and 2. Didn't get the best run off before to be able to make the move, but here through 1 and 2, looks like he's going to try to dive to the inside.
Jonathan Canfield down low in the racetrack, just left pit road after getting some damages repaired, and he has since been forced back down as he has been hit with an apparent infraction on the exit pit road. Likely, I would say, pushing up a bit too aggressively and cutting over that blue line. While Thorpe and Sikorsky just going to get things sorted. Never mind. Sikorsky up top, but Thorpe's going to secure it here in 3.
Mildly difficult pit exit at this place too, so if you did have to make your green flag pit stop or coming out after repair and damage, not too surprising to see you kind of push the envelope a little bit too much, maybe get that right front, right rear tire over the apron line and giving yourself another black flag. So it's up right there for Canfield. Already had the damage though, so he kind of expected it. Towards the front of the field though, a couple guys getting through the pack. Lacey with the newer tires now all over the back bumper of Eddie Hagge, and Ping, he's looking to get through to 3rd place with Marasco getting through to 4th as Brad Lawson just about pounding the wall down in the middle of 3 and 4, but here comes Lacey on the bottom side of Hagge. Out of turn 4, Lacey with a huge run of momentum with the new tires. He's going to easily be able to take the race lead, and Pink says, I'm going to take second from you too, Hagge.
Justin Ping up top, 23.331. New fastest lap for Ping, that time by. As Dustin tries to get himself up and working now. He looks to fight it out with Marasco and Eddie Hagge. Michael Thorpe Jr. down to the inside line as well. And Haggy going to be bumped out to the edge of the top 5.
And this is one of those racetracks. Dustin Ping is one of the better guys in the series anyway. He's typically up towards the front, but for whatever reason, every time we come to Dover, Dustin Ping just has a little bit more speed than he has at some of these other racetracks. And the same thing goes for Ty Marasco. Marasco, typically a top 10 contender week in, week out, but for whatever reason, every time we come to Dover, instead of it being a top 10 contender, it's a race win contender. And that number 1 up to the 3rd place position, trying to run down the front 2 and trying to get an advantage. But the advantage coming down to turn 3 is Dustin Ping. He's going to dive to the inside of Benjamin Lacey. A little bit of a slide job here. Oh, and almost getting the bumper out of turn 4. Lacey was not happy with that move. He wants it back, coming to the inside to 1.
Sliding to the inside line at turn number 1. Dustin Ping up top. Can he hang on against a charging Real Earth Films number 7 car down low? Ping given a bit of help from up top by Ty Marasco, and that will allow him to finally break clear with the race lead.
Marasco running the fence there through 3 and 4, able to cut it down, able to get the momentum off the top side of the racetrack, and able to take 2nd place. I'm telling you, the top 2 right now, they are Dover Warriors. Marasco and Ping, for whatever reason, they get around this place better than they do other racetracks. Not by a lot, but just enough to make them race-winning contenders, if not favorites, every time that we come down to Dover, Delaware. And right now, it is the Ping and Marasco show up at the front. Marasco not quite able to get to the back bumper of Ping. The 81 starting to pull away ever so slightly as they're still battling further back in the pack. Kilrow and Bassinger side by side out of 4 and down to 1.
We are past the halfway point now as we got under 75 laps to go. So all of this within the first half of the lap. But again, if this is the type of race we see in the first half, I almost fear what we'll get in the back half as well. For now, though, everyone's working calm, working clean, as the battle for 10th is still hot.
Yeah, these guys fighting as hard as they possibly can, trying to get themselves up into the top 10. Jeremiah Hobbs, he had damage earlier in this race, and he's done a great job rebounding up to 12th place. And all over the back bumper of Michael Keithley here, trying to take 11th place away from him. Hobbs, typically really quick, but to have that damage that he had early and be able to come through the field already, probably with a little bit of strategy like we've seen through most of the field tonight, regardless about the strategy, he's had the pace. Looking to the inside of 53 of Keithley now, and just about to the inside of Brad Lawson, trying to get himself into the top 10.
Clear he will get as he fights his way into 10th place on the racetrack. One contender between him and that spot, with it being Brad Lawson just up the road. Lawson a little bit crossed up there that time through, as Hobbs maintains the momentum just a little ways behind. Single file off of turn number 2. Here he goes, making the look to the inside, down the back straightaway into turn number 3. And Jeremiah Hobbs through to 10th.
Good move there from Hobbs, able to get into the top 10. Now all over the back bumper of Eddie Haggy, who's still out there on the older tires. Restarted up in 1st place. Didn't want the rubber, and now he's paying the price for it. Back to 10th spot now for Eddie Haggy as Hobbs continues his march to the front of the field up to P9.
Scrambling down to the turn numbers 3 and 4 is Gargiulo. It's Bell, it's Keithley. Sikorsky also in the mix. All drivers that were up at the front of the field earlier this race, and all drivers that have been one by one shuffled to the back. Tanner Marn with a meatball flag as he is down low on the racetrack. That number 82 car looks like it's gone up in smoke.
Man, I don't know if there's anybody in the series that has had worse luck than Tanner Marr. That poor guy has been caught up in every single incident under the sun that is just really not his fault. At least, I can't say it about this one just yet. We'll have to get the onboard and see exactly what happened to Tanner, but I think he was involved in something a little bit earlier. And, yeah, did he just blow up?
It sounds like a tire went down.
What in the... Okay, well, and like I mentioned, he was in a wreck earlier, likely had damage that caused excessive right front wear, right? That's typically what you see in those situations. We haven't had a long enough run to actually blow a tire as we're side by side for the lead. Ping able to hang on to it for now, but going back to Tanner, you know, he was involved in an incident that wasn't his fault earlier, story of his season. And at that point, even if you get a lot of the damage repaired, sometimes that right front tire is just dragging across the racetrack in a way that is not natural, wears it out way quicker than normal. Oh, tight between the top two. Ping shutting the door, down to 1 on Lacey. Lacey, he's looking a little bit feistier here. He's got that long run speed wound up.
Well, these drivers going to continue to battle it out as Dustin Ping and Benjamin Lacey remain tight together. Lacey again looking for the inside line. Into turn numbers 3 and 4. Dustin Ping up to the high side. Oh, Ping though gets the drive back up top. Nearly contact between the two as they work back down to the round towards 3 and 4.
This is where it's so tough for Lacey. He gave up that lead earlier. He's not a short run guy, right? Benjamin Lacey, he's fast on the short run, but he is not the fastest. What his bread and butter is whenever a race runs 20, 30, 40 laps green, and we're getting to that point. We're starting to get to the long run position of the race, but the problem is with the worn out tires, trying to make the move on the bottom side of the racetrack, it gets harder and harder and harder as the tires wear, even if you're quicker to make this move, because they just have that momentum off of the top side of the track. Ping has worn out his tires a little bit more, but he's got that momentum on the top that just is barely able to hang on to that lead or keep him in the lead. Lacey, though, still committed to the bottom side, trying to make it work.
If he can make this work, this could be an absolutely phenomenal pass here. He now is finally side by side. Might try to use the lap car. There's a Ping. That is a Matt Sotomayor, and he's going to do just that. That is beautiful driving there from Lacey. Use the lap car as a pick, and he is now through to the lead. But here comes Ping trying to get the crossover.
Oh, Ping! He had the run, but he just got into the back bumper of Lacey as they came through the corner. But here they're going to be tight. They're going to be tight between the two of them. Just about contact. The 81 almost got in the left rear. Lacey doing a good job avoiding. Ping doing a good job getting off the gas, just making sure he didn't take Lacey out there. Tight race between the top two. They had brought Marasco into it once again, but now that Lacey's clear into the lead, he had that speed over Ping, able to get the move done cleanly. I think Lacey's going to start pulling away.
Katie Gargiulo with the problem coming off of turn number 4. Take a look back at this. See if he maybe caught the wall. You lost about 4 or 5 spots down the front straightaway alone. Oh, sat there, he caught the wall. And then Gargiulo went into him.
Tight Constantina effect coming out of turn 4. Just takes one mistake from one guy, and all of a sudden, a couple of others kind of get caught up in it. Typically, well, a very typical style of accident here at Dover. Up towards the front, though, Michael Thorpe Jr. able to get the 3rd place away from Marasco. Marasco running a good race, just not really having the long run pace that I expected him to have. Just starting to lose out a little bit towards the end of this run. Still holding steady in the 4th place spot, though. I'd be watching out for him if we get another yellow.
Michael Keithley also into pit road, this time by. As the pack continues to cut through each other. Bill into the wall. Sikorsky into the wall. Sorry, that's a Hankey into the wall. And that is target fixation. John Osborne didn't fall for it. And he now looks to take one away from the 91.
Ooh, Osborne down on the bottom. Everybody able to get through that A-OK. Wyatt Walker down to the inside of Hagee now. Hagee still struggling on the older tires. But it looks like these guys are going to get that battle sorted A-OK. Looking back at our laps running the last caution, we ended that caution on lap 67. So if we run all the way to the checkered flag at this point, it'll be an 83 lap run, and I believe that is just outside of our fuel range. I do not think we can make it 83 laps on 1 tank of gas unless you save something mighty. So a lot of these guys are going to have to come down pit road one more time. At a track like this, though, do you risk it and split this stint in half, or do you just wait as long as possible and hope that the caution comes out to save you?
Well, that's what Keithley and Foster have done. They've both come down to pit road, and they're on fresh tires now, fighting their way up and around. So Foster on fresh rubber, Keithley on fresh rubber. We'll see how that's going to pan out for the two of them. As well, right behind Foster is, in fact, the race leaders getting their way past yet more lap traffic.
It's just a problem at a place like Dover, a place like Bristol, a place like Martinsville. You come down pit road, you lose 2 laps, right? So if that caution flag comes out before you unlap yourself once, your race is completely over. Being stuck 2 laps down is just about a death sentence in NASCAR oval racing, especially with a field this big. So you're running a big risk coming down early, but if the caution never comes out, you benefit massively. So it's a big risk that guys like Keithley and Foster are taking right now, but if they didn't have race-winning speed, just heads up, I like the risk, especially with us having a couple winning-in spots into the playoffs. And now Foster's in a good spot. He's sitting 5th in the points, so maybe it's not a good risk for him. But for a guy like Keithley, I kind of like the move. You didn't have race-winning pace, heads up against a guy like Lacey, against a guy like Ping. So how about you split this stage halfway and hope and pray that the caution flag does not fly?
Michael Ashmore with a black flag for a pit road infraction here. And Mike, if I had to guess, speeding on the exit. So his race is going to be going from bad to worse as he is going to be immediately forced back into pit road to serve that penalty.
I like that he kept it all the way down on the bottom side of the racetrack, making sure he doesn't, cause an issue for anybody else. This is a very, very tough pit entry, so if you come back up onto the banking and then have to go right back down right after you come out of pit road, it can definitely catch people out. So good job there, just keeping it down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. My goodness, that was tight. Was that Sikorsky and Haggy?
It sure was. Ethan Sikorsky just slamming on the brakes there as they came down into pit road. Boy, that got a little bit dicey. He is going to miss his stall. We'll take a look at this wild entry for the 94.
Coming down into turn 3, Haggy way down on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like almost a late call from Sikorsky. He was a little bit higher up the racetrack than he definitely wanted to be. And man, he is sliding that thing all the way down there on the apron. Ends up being a pretty decent pit entry, all things considered, if he didn't miss his pit box.
They nearly wrecked it once, and they nearly wrecked it again. A great save to lock it down, though, on pit entry to keep it out of the cars in front. And we got more to pit road. Larry Bell,
So
Brad Lawson, Matt Crockett.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are deciding to cut it in half, and I definitely get the strategy, but man, at a place like Dover where there's really nowhere to hide, nowhere to go whenever you're stuck behind a lot of people on older tires, it becomes a bit of a log jam in these green flag pit stops, which makes the likelihood of a caution go up even further, right? The tire fall off is so massive at a place like Dover. I'm going to go on Dalton Kilroe real quick. At the beginning of the stint, he was running 23.8s all the way down to 23.5 actually on his third lap of this stint. He's down to a 24.8 that he's running, so over a second of fall off. At a place like Dover, that means watch out, you're going to get ran over after people start their green flag pit stops and get new rubber. So it just lends itself to breeding more cautions. If I'm one of these guys that have come down pit road, it's so important not to run somebody else over because it ruins your own strategy, but it's so easy to do.
Aaron Smith with the PT Autosport Yellow Vision number 70 is into pit road. Meanwhile, Passenger, Marasco, Hart, all down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. Ricky Hart Jr. trying to track up a little bit. Looking to take 5th place away from Christopher Passenger as Smith exits pit road behind. Marasco into the wall once, into the wall twice. And trying to shut out Brian Dees down low, is trying to take advantage of the mistake.
Still side by side coming down the front straightaway. A lot of different strategies going on at play right here. A couple guys on newer tires trying to get through. Ty Marasco on the outside of his teammate of Brian Dees. Both those guys side by side. I mean, just a couple side by side battles here. Aaron Smith on the newer tires a little bit further back is going to be looking to come through these guys as quick as possible. Passenger way up to the top of the racetrack trying to hold position.
Oh, Passenger into the fence. That'll stack him up in a Hart. D's going to sweep through him. Marasco going to sweep through, and that's going to create a log jam for Smith to try and fight his way through. Is he going to dare to put them 3 wide into turn 3? No, he will not. He's going to wait for this battle to sort itself, but that is costing him precious time. There he goes, 3 wide to the inside. I like it. He waited for the door to open up for him.
At some point, right? Yeah, and that's smart, right? Because like I said, being on the newer tires, if you run somebody over, like, yeah, you ruin their race, but even if you get through it, you're ruining your race because you're 2 laps behind at this point. Yeah, you're on newer tires, but you can't pit. You got to come take the wave around to only get you 1 lap back, and then you got to hope and pray that you get the lucky dog, and then you have to come through the field one more time. So if you're a guy like Aaron Smith, it sucks because you just know you could blow their doors off if they were single file, but you just got to pick and choose your battles. Pick and choose when you go by to get the best opportunity on the pit strategy as a couple more guys deciding to come down pit road.
Thomas Mitchell coming into pit road with the Chipotle number 68. And there is everyone else with Passenger, Keithley, and Moore. Still fighting. They have not been able to break away from each other all day long.
I'm just wondering when they finally decide to come down pit road. Are they, at this point, I feel like these guys are hard committed to, hey, we're going to get a yellow flag at some point, right? You just can't push it so long. But we are about at the halfway point of the run right now, right? So I guess that this would probably be the best time to pit in terms of total speed over the 80 laps, because it would be a little bit over an 80 lap run. We've ran 41 now. since the green flag flew. So now would be the perfect time to split it in half, but with how many people have pitted already, you've lost a ton of track position to those guys that have put fresh rubber on through the first, or the last 20 laps of this run. But a couple more guys deciding, hey, now's the time.
One of those being Ricky Hart Jr., another being Nicholas Corcel just behind. So one by one, we're going to see the field trickle into pit road. And this scrap here for 5th place remains the tightest pack on the racetrack, but that doesn't mean that the field is not bunched up tight everywhere else. I mean, well, yeah, we got the battle for 5th here. I mean, you look at the track, and I mean, it is an extremely congested place right now.
Yeah, it's just a lot of new tires coming through on the guys of older tires, and then you get a couple side-by-side battles of guys with older tires, and all of a sudden you're hanging up or holding up people that are trying to come through as fast as possible. Man, talking between Dees and Hobbs coming out of turn 4. That's a little too close to for comfort there. Both those guys haven't pitted yet, but Hobbs, I was talking about him earlier. He had ran his way all the way up into the top 10 here on this same stint, and now he's fought himself up to 4th place. How about that long run speed from the number 3?
Dustin Ping into pit road quickly while Jeremiah Hobbs drives his way through. Hobbs took his first podium in his HTRL career at the Texas Motor Speedway after being turned with less than 20 laps to go. He is looking to take podium number 2 this afternoon.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did it. With the long run speed that he's had here, it's looking decent for him. The next car that he can pass is about 2 seconds up the road, Dalton Kilrow, and then another second up to Thorpe Jr. But I got to think that a couple of these guys are going to be pitting here soon. Actually, our race leader coming down pit road this lap. He just called it out. So finally, Benjamin Lacey running 5 laps over the halfway mark and then deciding to come down pit road. Not going to wait for that caution, but he has given up a lot of valuable time to the guys on new tires. It'll be very interesting to see where Lacey cycles out in this green flag stints. Nolan, I remember you saying in the pre-race you didn't think we were going to get green flag pit stops. We're just not all the way through the cycle. I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I'm not complaining, though. I love green flag pit stops at a place like this. I mean, the stakes are so high. You have got to be absolutely perfect and nail those marks. Dalton Kilrow still staying out on the racetrack while Jeremiah Hobbs comes in pit road from 6th. Right now, there's a good number of drivers that have still yet to come down to the lane. And there is your new race leader, 2.8 seconds clear of Dees and Marasco.
I'm interested in Kilrow here because we know Kilrow as the fuel-saving maestro of the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series. I'm interested to see if he's trying to pull anything similar here. A lot of guys have now come down pit road. He's continuing to run it long. Is he potentially fuel-saving? Is he trying to make it as long as he possibly can?
He might be hoping for a caution to trap over half his competition a lap down.
Well, that would work too. But again, the bad side of that is if he doesn't get it, all of a sudden he turns a 3rd place day into maybe a 15th at this rate.
Well, I mean, you say that. He's going to have to pressure tires out of anybody when it does come down, so he can easily make quite a few of those spots back up. Because remember, the field is pretty much separated all throughout the field, making it a lot easier to cut through the traffic.
So I agree with you, but let's say he waits until there's 15 laps to go. At that point, you've given all these other guys so much time on newer tires to where you need 30 laps to make up all of that time, 40 laps to make up all that time again. If you wait until 15 to go, you're not making it back up to where you were running beforehand. I'm sorry to say it. You could basically say he was about P3, P4 before the pit stops really started. I'm interested how the strategy works out if he does come down really late and that yellow flag never flies.
John Osborne into pit road. Still waiting on the top 5 plus Wellman to come down to the box. Nicholas Corcel cutting his way through the field on some of the fresher tires in this field. He has just cleared. Michael Keithley is on the backslide. And Kyle Wellman is almost guaranteed to be going to lap down based on where he is at. In fact, he already is a lap down. He's going to be going down 2 or 3. And near the back of the field, a tough break for him. And there is John Osborne in pit road.
And we've only got 5 cars on the lead lap as we currently run. Dalton Kilrow just now hitting the start-finish line to hit lap number 123. First car 1 lap down, Benjamin Lacey. At that same point in time, whenever Kilrow took the start-finish line, he was coming down into turn 3. So Lacey a whole 1 lap and 1/3 behind. So if Kilrow is saving gas and can make it to the end, Lacey has a lot of ground that he's got to make up. I know that I shouldn't doubt Kilrow, but I don't think he can save that much gas.
Look at Dustin Ping here trying to go 3 wide up the middle in 3 and 4 as he makes that bid for the lead. Wasn't able to get it. Wyatt Walker catches the wall. Lacey clears, still using some of that lap traffic as a pick to try and claw his way back towards the front. And still the top 5 continue to stay out.
Dalton Kilrow running 24.7s, 24.8s at the moment. Benjamin Lacey. Just got into the back of the 24. They're wrecking down into 1. Benjamin Lacey's out of it. He's completely destroyed.
Oh, and more troubles and a secondary crash as Tanner Marr is punted into the outside wall. And it is disaster for Lacey. That is the caution flag that Dalton Kilrow wanted. That would have just won Kilrow the race.
It very well could have. It's definitely won MFRD the race. Dees, Marasco, 2nd and 3rd. But man, this replay, coming down the front straightaway, Sathmary kind of ran about a half a lane to a lane off of the top of the racetrack. And as Lacey's going down to the inside, Sathmary also pulls down to the inside to give Lacey the outside. Just too unpredictable for Benjamin Lacey coming through. And at that point, it's just hard impact for both of them coming through there. I mean, it's kind of like multi-class racing, right? If you've ever watched one of the 24-hour races, you got to hold a line and be predictable. There, it was just a little bit too late of a move for Paul Sathmary to get out of the way. I like the thought process. I understand why he's trying to be nice, but at that point, you got to be more predictable than nice.
And then Tanner Marr just behind was trying to avoid, and he just stabbed the brakes way too aggressively. Spun himself around, took out Scott Shire and the 69 with him. The 68, sorry.
And there, it was another one of those instances where, you know, Tanner's coming down the front straightaway right on the back bumper of Aaron Smith. You can't see through the car in front of you. All of a sudden, he gets put in the middle or gets himself to the middle, and that's whenever he sees it. So he just hits the brake in reaction to when he can finally see the incident, and at that point it was just a little bit too late, and that car just took off to the right.
Thomas Mitchell with a big incident right on board with him, as he was kind of caught just in the middle of all of this with nothing he could do about it. Holy cow, he avoided it! He avoided that! Oh my gosh! Never mind. Does that count? I don't think that counts. I feel like we should give him that still. The fact that he avoided the main incident, that is legendary.
We should give him half points.
Is that worthy, though, of the best saves of the month reward? I feel like that is.
It's tough. That's a tough call. I'm gonna leave that up to.
I think for the main,
I'll
you know
leave that
what?
up to you.
My channel, my rules. I think he gets the points for avoiding this wreck initially. I mean, look at how close he gets, lifted out of the brakes at exactly the right moment. Oh. I've never seen a avoidance like that in my life. I thought he got into it for sure.
I mean, he did a great job avoiding it at first, but you know, if you end up hurt, it's hard for me to give you.
I feel like he fully avoided the main one. I feel like he avoided the main one, and that is good enough for me.
Just cut the clip a little bit before.
There we go. Trick of the editing. Green flag coming out this time by Ricky Hart Jr., by the way, with a black flag as well for some kind of incident in pit road. He is going to be forced to go down to the lane for service. Only 10 on the lead lap after a pit stop run goes awry, and several with black flags. Lakey, Zimmerman, Wellman, all with penalties all of a sudden off the restart.
Yeah, I think they're all going to get it cleared. They were waiting on one car to get by to not get black flags, and unfortunately, they just could not get slowed down in time. They were all in line and waiting on one guy, so I think that they're clearing all the black flags. So it shouldn't be a problem for too many guys. But you mentioned only 10 cars on the lead lap. A good chunk of those took the wave around, right? So a lot of these guys on older tires from 6 on back, the only guys on the new stuff are going to be P5 and above. Dustin Payne got the lucky dog, was able to put 4 tires on, and then there were only 4 cars on the lead lap at the time of the caution. So those are really the only guys in it with a chance to win unless we get another yellow.
Zimmerman and Wellman have had their black flags cleared, and Lakey has just had his cleared as well. So it will only be Hartnell's penalty has to serve, and that is because it was a pit road infraction, so one that was not eligible to be cleared. So he is in pit road right now serving that penalty. Meanwhile, Brian Dees trying to go after his M40 teammate, as is Ty Marasco. Right now, they lock out the podium.
Well, Dees looking pretty feisty here all over the back bumper of Kill Road 2. Just, he's getting a little tight on the exit of these corners. You can tell he's struggling in that dirty air. Gonna back up the corner a little bit, coming down to turn 1, try to cut it down lower. The problem for him is Kilrow is anticipating every move that Dees is making right now. He is running right where Dees wants to be at the exit of the corner here. Dees trying to cut through the dirty air through the center of the corner, but Kilrow just cuts that thing hard left, back down to the bottom, and Dees pounds the fence out of 2. He could not handle the dirty air, and here comes Marasco around the outside.
Well, the field able to make tracks again as Brian Dees sends that one to the inside of Ty Marasco. Marasco trying to maintain his momentum while Dees cuts her in. Wyatt Walker just behind. Still clinging on for 4th. Thorpe, meanwhile, getting around a slow Larry Bell, Coruscant, Smith, and more also in a big battle for spots. And Thorpe's been turned, and the Dover winner from 2024 goes around in turn number 1. He's going to bounce off the inside wall, otherwise keep it pointed straight. Caution is now once again with less than 20 to go, and that's going to help Lawson get back onto the lead lap, and that's also going to help a good chunk of the lead lap runners close back into the leaders.
Yeah, that helps a lot of these guys. It's only going to help one guy in terms of the lucky dog. Brad Lawson, I believe, is going to get the lucky dog. But a lot of the guys that took the wave around last time are going to be able to come down, put 4 fresh tires on, and be right up there with the leaders. So it definitely helps them up big time. Thorpe coming down to the bottom of the racetrack. Leakey maybe missing the bottom. Thorpe maybe cutting in a little bit too quickly into the corner. Couldn't quite tell from that angle, but the end result is Thorpe Jr. going around, just about saving it there in the initial bit, getting down to the apron. Kicking that thing sideways, ends up making contact with the left side against the fence. Ultimately, not really taking anybody out of the running.
It kind of looks like Thorpe came down, if I had to take a gander on anything with that. Well, this is going to bring a good chunk of other drivers into pit road. And Marasco had tires left. He's taking them now. But only right sides. What do you make of that one?
I'm a little surprised. I mean, so these guys know that everybody from 6 on back is going to be coming down pit road to take tires because they didn't get them on the last stint. So I understand their thought process. They're only losing a spot or 2, and it looks like it's just Wyatt Walker that stayed out with Dalton Kilrow. The dirty air's been tough, and it's been hard to fight through it, especially on the leader all day. So I actually do really like the call because Marasco, I think, only lost 1 position. So he's got an opportunity on this restart. I probably like it a little bit more for Brian Dees if he came out in 4th. I don't think he had enough damage on the right side. So yeah, Dees coming out in 4th. Kilroy's probably going to pick the top. So I like it more probably for Brian Dees just off of that. He's got a little bit fresher rubber on one side of the racetrack. Could end up being very beneficial to Dees here.
All of this while time continues to slip away more and more from what this regular season has left in it. And it's not all that much. I mean, we are well into the back half. Only 5 races after today before we reset things for the round of 12, right? Homestead, Richmond, Michigan, Phoenix, Charlotte. And that's it. I mean, if guys want to really close in, you don't have long to do it.
This will be a feisty restart, but it's a little bit more feisty under caution right now. Everybody bickering for position right now, coming down to the green flag. A little messy down the backstretch.
Dalton Kilroe leads the way. He has opted for the outside lane like most drivers behind him. Wyatt Walker will have his inside. Dees and Marasco will no doubt be trying to push Walker out to once again get a 1-2-3 team podium. For MFRD, green flag is up in the air and racing action recommences.
Walker didn't get going very good. Kind of expect that on the bottom line, though. Hard to go at the same time as the race leader. Brian Dees, though, with the pressure tires, ripping around the outside. He's got to get clear as soon as he possibly can to have a shot here at Kilroe. Down the back straightaway, Dees just about clear. Coming down to turn 3, he's going to be able to clear for the second place spot. Now, can he run down his teammate, Dalton Kilroe, and steal this one away?
Dees is clear. Marasco nearly gets into Ping as Ping goes evasive. Well, Marasco caught the outside wall in 4. Dees clears Walker fully now. And Marasco not too disturbed. He's going to look back to the inside line. Marasco trying to lunge in there, gunning for that number 3 spot. Again, trying to get that team podium. Contact forces Walker off the track and nearly puts him in the fence. Now he's going to spin him down the back front straightaway. Thorpe's going to get turned again as he locked the brakes, stabbed him up. Hobbs involved. Again, the 68 slips through the middle. John Osborne collected as well, and that, frankly, was an incident that did not need to happen.
Yeah, that was, I mean, you know what they're doing. They're trying to side draft as much as they can on the straightaways. But, man, I do think Marasco just came up a little bit too much there coming down the front stretch, right? Coming down to 1. They had kind of gotten everything sorted, but Ty just drifted up the racetrack a little bit and ended up getting into the left rear of Wyatt Walker down the front straightaway. And that sucks because they were both having such a good run going.
Then, of course, Thorpe stabbed the brakes. So did Jeremiah Hobbs. They both spun as a result. John Osborne collected as well. Look at the 68 car again. Just escaped disaster as Thomas Mitchell slips through the middle.
Ping did a great job getting through 2. Aaron Smith on the outside was able to get by. And all these guys are going to be able to come down, get damage repair, put on 4 fresh tires, not lose too much time because they're on the lead lap. So they're only
hold on.
Fall to the fringes of the top 10. Oh, no.
There was another incident actually behind all of this on the front straightaway as well. This may not have even been the cause of the caution. We'll get a look on board with Thomas Mitchell, then we'll jump back again to see what the heck happened at the tail of the field. I think that one, no doubt, that's an avoidance. But now, what the heck happened to the background?
I count his first one, too. He just had somebody stop in front of him. It's something different. But yeah, further back in the back.
Oh! It was the 96! The 96 car of Jacob Locklear hit the wall and spun to the inside. That was a big hit as well.
Man, I don't know why, but Wyatt Walker just got on the comms and claimed that was, or he said he's claiming that caution for now. I don't know. So that'll probably get cleared a little bit later because I don't think he should get the EOL on that one. That was, I feel like Ty just came up a little bit too much. I think Wyatt was up against the fence doing everything he needed to, but I definitely understand with the penalty situation. I understand kind of calling it just in case, but. I don't think Wyatt really did anything wrong there. Kilroe, though, saying he's going to pick the top. And this really opens it up for Dustin Payne. He's got fresher tires. He put on 4 tires not too long ago. This gives him a really, really good opportunity. Just a little bit of wheel spin from Brian Dees on this restart down on the bottom lane of the racetrack. And all of a sudden, Dustin Payne is clear to second with a clear shot at Kilroe. And we're going to have, 7 laps to go on this restart. So Payne's going to have a little bit of time to get this thing done as long as we don't have another yellow.
Look at John Osborne missing the front clip of that Valvoline number 5, and he's going to be a bit worse for wear throughout the remainder of this race, I feel, as a result.
Ooh, who you got? Who you got? Kilrow on the older tires with the clean air. D's down on the inside, or is it Penger Smith?
Kilrow. And the reason why, you could just get such a good launch off that top side. Fresh tires are not. And if we get another caution, no one's gonna be able to get him. And I think another caution is likely.
I'd have to agree with you, but if this thing runs green, I like where Ping's sitting. Second car on the outside, gonna be able to follow Kilrow through with the newer tires. If it runs green, watch out for Ping. Oh, Ping didn't get going. Was he in the wrong gear?
Oh boy, Ping may have been in the wrong gear. Smith able to clear up on him before they get back down to the turn number 1. 7 laps the distance as the field started to take off, and Kilrow right now with next to nothing stopped to take the second win of the season, and we got trouble on the back straightaway.
No caution just yet, though. 7 laps to go. Coming to 6.
There it is.
The yellow flag is going to fly for that incident on the back straightaway.
Was it on the back, or was there another
Ping
one?
Had to have been in the wrong gear. It very well could have been 3 or 4 at the same time.
Well, we'll take another look back, and this one is going to be, we'll check with Brad Lawson. I think it happens around Lawson and Carter Phillips. And yep, sure enough, the 85 Team 5 Motorsports car getting turned to the outside wall. What a rough day for the 85 car, right? He was up at the front for the longest time, and then, he drifts right down to the Sotomayor. Takes out the 91 with him, and that is what actually brought the yellow out.
Yeah, Lawson just drifted up a little bit too much on the exit. I feel like he kind of cleared himself across the nose coming out of turn 2. Kind of a tough incident. Everybody's just trying to slam the gas as hard as possible coming out of that corner. Everybody's tight, fighting it, and you can see he didn't think that he was even going to be side by side coming off the corner, right? The car on the top was so slow through the center of the corner that it just kind of put him in that situation. But man, that was a hellacious hip check a little bit after the fact.
On board with Jaden Hopp, as Hopp just barely avoided this. Good heads up there. Ping
in the chat saying he was in second gear, it just wouldn't go, so I guess he just had the wheel spin. The way that he took off, it felt like it was in third gear from the outside view, but Ping weighing in the chat saying he was in second, just had the wheel spin. The good news for him, I think he's still 4th, or is it Marasco that's in 4th? Actually, might be tied.
It is Marasco in 4th. Ping is in 5th, 3rd on the inside line.
Well, then I guess it kind of opens the door for Ty Marasco then. But the problem is, I think we're going to have 3 laps to go on the restart. I don't think that's enough time to wind up a challenge on Kilrow unless Dalton spins the tires, which very well could happen. I wouldn't put it past him. This is just one of those tougher racetracks.
Only 19 laps low, though. You can get the hammer down well enough with that.
Well, you say that, but Ping got newer tires, and he just did it. Now, he's not the control car, so it's a little bit tougher. I definitely think it's a little bit tougher if you're not the control car, but, man, I'm telling you, you get a couple of heat cycles on those tires, and for whatever reason, they just get a little skittish in the restart zone. It's an easy one just to get a little too heavy-footed. Dover is definitely the king of tire chattering on the restart zone, so I don't think he's going to do it, but I definitely am not willing to bet on it.
3-lap dash, a green-white checkered. Still in regulation time this afternoon. One more yellow, though, forces this race into the first of our 3 overtime attempts.
So we got to make 2 full green flag passes here to be able to have this thing be called an official race. One more car catching up to the field in the back before we get going, but Kilrow again picking that outside. They got a decent chance for that MFRD 1-2-3 at this point, but he's going to need a really good restart. Make sure that he doesn't stack up that outside line for him to have as good of a shot as he needs.
Green flag coming out this time by, as the rest of the field going to be fighting their way up and around. Green flag is out into the air, and once again, we hightail it down the front straightaway. This time, no problems with wheel spin.
Yeah, Kilrow gets away pretty good, and Unfortunately for Marasco, he just did not follow him through completely. He's going to be stuck side by side. That's going to let Kilrow completely get away from these guys. A couple guys hitting the fence further back in the pack, but it looks like everybody's able to stay straight, keep it clean, and keep it green. Side by side for second. D's looking like he's going to take it away from Marasco.
2 laps to go from the Dover Motor Speedway this afternoon as Dalton Kilrow walks the gap out to almost half a second. Brian D's trying to run him down. Not going to have a lot of room to do so. Marasco nearly turned out of turn 2.
Coming down through 3 and 4, trying to get the white flag to make this thing official. Kilrow easily in the race lead. It's really just going to be a race for second. Oh, contact! White flag's out, but Ping is destroyed down the front straightaway. We're not going to see a yellow, but big incident for 2 of them coming down to the front straightaway.
Huge hit there. Brian D's fastest lap of the race. It's going to be nothing doing, though. Dalton Kilrow coming around through 3, through 4, and for the second time this season, Dalton Kilrow wins at the Dover Motor Speedway.
Ooh, getting feisty there on the last couple laps. Big incident between Ping and I believe it was Keith. Wyatt Walker got a big piece of that as well. Even with the damaged race car, Walker able to come home in the top 10, I believe. Ping relegated to 11th. Man, that was a big one coming off before, but another win for Dalton Kilrow. Oh,
and Marasco's just been taken out. It just keeps going.
I think he just hit the brakes too hard.
It just keeps going. We'll take a look at all of what happened there on the final lap, and even in the cool-down lap, apparently, in just a moment. For now, Dalton Kilrow, winner, and burning it down at the Monster Mile.
Yeah, I think Ty just downshifted at a really inopportune time there. And that's why he ended up getting sent spinning. A little bit of a weird one. We're still playing bumper cars on the pit road, so a couple people not too happy with each other, but the only guy that's probably leaving Dover, Delaware happy is Kilrow.
Hard to blame him. As he burns down the front straightaway, this is what happened on that final lap. As kind of hard to tell from there what happened. I'll back that up just a little bit further. But it was a big impact coming off of turn number 4. Watch as... Oh, Pink caught the wall and drifted into Keithley. And, of course, the 71 of Wyatt Walker got into the fence to boot. And it just escalated from there. And then this was after the checker flag had already flown. Marasco catching the tail. And whoops. He caught Corcel as well. Oh no.
Yeah, he just downshifted. He just downshifted. It ends up being a big incident. Hopefully, that was so far after the race that we don't have any penalty points for
I think
for X's. I'm not too sure. I'm thinking so too, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, pretty good race, all things considered. I love Dover. I love it.
Well, we'll take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon, as it is going to be Dalton Kilrow taking his second win of the season. Brian D's down in the number 2 spot with Aaron Smith finishing it up in 3rd. Ty Marasco comes home 4th with Corcel in 5th. Baxter 6th, Haggy in 7th. Thorpe, Sikorsky, and Walker round out the top 10.
Rolling back to 11th through 20th, we got Michael Keithley in 11th. Brian Zimmerman in 12th. First car 1 lap down after the weird pit cycle caution that we ended up having. John Osborne 13th, Larry Bell 14th, Jeremiah Hobbs with the top 15, David Leakey 16th, Kyle Wellman 17th, Kevin Foster in 18th place, Matt Crocker 19th, and then Dustin Ping, after the incident coming to the white flag, finishes 20th.
From there, it's going to be Mitchell, Gargiulo, and Lawson for 21st through 23rd. Locklear and Hop close out the top 25. Outside of the 25, it'll be Ricky Hart Jr., Scott Shire, Benjamin Lacey, Jonathan Canfield, and Michael Ashmore.
Rounding out the field here tonight, we got Carter Phillips, Paul Sathmary, Matt Sotomayor, Tanner Marr, Connor Gibson, Nick Nickerson, Joey Neese, and Sean Williams.
And all of that will take us to the conclusion of racing action here this afternoon. What a wild ride that we had throughout this race, and I think a race very much worthy of the High Tide Racing League Garden Premier Series. We'll take a rundown now and get the chance to talk to the top 3 drivers here at the end of the night, and we'll look to kick things off first and foremost with Dalton Kilroe, the driver that is going to be able to come home number 1 this afternoon. Try to get a hold of the number 41. There we go. Let's get Dalton Kilroe down here to the broadcast booth. Dalton, your second win of the season. It feels almost weird saying with how many races you've won here over the last month or so on the channel. Feels weird to say this is only the second in this championship, but I mean, I think it goes to show the amount of competition in here, and the win did not come easy this afternoon.
Yeah, definitely had to earn it there. Did get saved by those cautions there late. Definitely wouldn't have won it if there wasn't that one at the end of the long green flag run. And then with whatever it was, 15 laps to go, once those cautions started, I definitely was able to keep the tires cool enough to where I could contend and at least hold on enough against the guys behind me that had the fresh rubber. So obviously I'll take it. Still keeping a good run of form going. I think this is like my 6th top 2 finish in the last 8 races, so I'll take it. And we'll move on to Homestead next week and hopefully have another good result.
Championship-wise, obviously, with you taking the second win of the season, you were already kind of locked in entering tonight. Do you have any thoughts on whether or not the mindset changes throughout the course of these final 5 races of the regular series season, or is it just kind of do what you can to learn for what you have to do in the playoffs?
I think it's honestly, and Austin even knows this, for me, I don't really change my mindset. I treat every race like it's just as important as the next one, regardless of whether it's playoffs or not. I'll do the same thing regardless. You know, if somebody's over aggressive, I won't really force it too much. You know, I'm not going to try to, put myself in a position where I could get wrecked or cause a caution or anything like that. I just try to keep my car clean and make sure I'm there at the end and don't throw it away on strategy. And luckily enough, again, tonight was tonight worked out just because of the caution of the green flag run. But just gotta minimize mistakes, keep car clean, and be there at the end.
We'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing next week in Miami. Congratulations on taking home win number 2 of the season, and we will see you when we go racing at Homestead.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Dalton Kilroe comes home number 1 this afternoon, and we'll look to now bring down his teammate Brian Dees. It is a team 1-2 for MFRD, and Austin, you're standing by with Brian Dees now.
Absolutely. Brian Dees, the second place finisher here tonight. Brian, you ran in and around the top 10 just about the entire night. Had to come through the field a couple times with the different tire strategies that we had through the opening portion of the event. But, coming down to the end, had that yellow flag fly at the perfect time for you, Dalton, Ty, to all kind of get up there in and around the top 5 and keep those positions. But coming towards the end, that last caution, or second to last caution, you came down pit road whenever Kilroe came or stayed out. Did you think that was your best opportunity? And did you think that, hey, maybe these just a little bit fresher tires were going to push you to the win?
Well, first of all, I'm going to call you out because you already started the counter. I think I caught 2 or 3 of them in there. Yeah, that last pit stop, all 3 of us really, me, Ty, and Dalton, were all kind of debating on what was going to be the best thing to do. Seemed like the tires went away really quick at this track, so kind of figured with other guys getting on the lead lap and everybody bunching back up again, that was probably going to be the best bet. I know Ty made a slightly different move, took 2 tires there at the end. Don't think that really paid out for him too much, but yeah, at the end it didn't, with all those cautions, didn't really think I was going to be able to set Dalton up for the win, but it kind of just came down to trying to hold off Aaron for second. So that was the main goal, and mission accomplished there. So would have liked to get the top 3 for MFRD, but didn't work out that way. We'll take the top 2.
Brian, it seemed to be a big-time track position race here tonight. There's another one to the counter. But anyway, yeah, big-time track position race here tonight, and you ended up doing what you needed to do to get it at the end. Was the dirty air as big of a problem as I was maybe making it sound up in the booth? Because I was kind of going on and on about the dirty air, and it just seemed like it was tough to follow, especially in the in the early stages of the race, tough to follow and build a run, especially on the race leader. Was there anything different you could have done behind kill row, offset either way on the racetrack to be able to build that forward momentum, or is it really just being stuck in the dirty air, not being able to do too much?
Yeah, the dirty air is definitely pretty huge in this car. I think they updated it a little bit too, with the last update. I don't know how much they changed it, but yeah, it's definitely an issue. I think really the only thing, if you were pretty close on speed with somebody, really the only thing you could do is kind of do that cutback lane or cut down line to try to get a run coming down the straightaway, and then you kind of had to throw it in there into the next turn and hopefully make it stick to make the pass.
Well, Brian, you still had a great night tonight, finishing P2. Great night for the points. Do you have anybody to thank at the end of this one?
Yeah, definitely got to thank all my teammates helping out the whole race. Got to thank Guardian for being the title sponsor. Definitely you guys up in the booth. Think you're one of the best in the business.
Well, Brian, we appreciate the oh, sorry.
Thanks to all the admins as well for everything they do.
Well, Brian, we appreciate you coming up into the booth here tonight and giving us a little bit of your time. So thank you and congratulations on the P2 again. Good 1-2 night there for MFRD, and I'm sure you're going to be going back and telling Dalton about all the O's.
Probably. Sorry for cutting you off there at the end.
Well, I thought you were done, so I apologize for cutting you off. But nonetheless, that was your second place finisher, the driver of the number 17 MFRD Chevrolet of Brian Dees. Next up, we're going to bring up the third place finisher. He's going to be talking to Nolan Rimple.
It is Aaron Smith coming home number 3 this afternoon. Aaron, a tough fought point for you here this afternoon, and you are able to break up what would have otherwise been an MFRD 1-2-3. So putting the PT Autosport Yellow Vision number 70 up in a third, definitely making sure that you are still making a staple for that championship fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to call it quits here in the next few weeks. I won't be able to run the playoffs this season, but yeah, I hope to come back and do it sometime. I got to run a full season here eventually, but yeah, it was a fun race. It was an uphill battle from the start. I've never liked this track. I'd go so far as to say that it's worse than Darlington and Rockingham for me. So to be able to finish without crashing in spite of being really close to a few of them is it's an accomplishment. I'll take it.
It was a hard-fought race this afternoon. Tire strategy was all over the map today. We were never able to predict who was going to be able to do what when it came to the tires because of how the cautions were falling. What was your strategy like this afternoon?
It was just to run as smoothly as possible, run as slow as possible, just stay on the lead lap and keep the car in one piece. The issue with the lane at this track is the line demands a line that an approach that these tires are not built to handle. The setup's not built to handle. Like, they build these setups to be really easy for the fixed setup races, and it had a negative impact on the quality of the racing tonight because I couldn't get by anybody. Even on fresher tires, it was difficult. And the only time I really started passing people was on one of those last restarts where I had those fresher tires, but made my way up there somehow, and we almost got it done.
Well, next, you mentioned you're going to have to call it quits here over the next couple of weeks. What's going to be the next time we can see you out here, and what's going to be the goals then when we do see you on the track once more?
Yeah, I'll be able to see through the next, I think it's the next 4 races. I think Charlotte will be my last. I don't know if that's 4 or 5 down the road, but I'll try to win each and every one of them. I think they're much better tracks than tonight, so should have a good shot at it on merit.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again. Congratulations on taking third, and we'll see you next week in Homestead.
All right, thank you.
That is Aaron Smith as he comes home number 3 this afternoon. And, well, with that, Austin, that brings us to the close of our top 3 interviews here this afternoon. Wild race overall, as it so often is at the end of a bit of racing action here with the HTRL Garden Premier Series. Next week, though, is Miami. And Miami... boy, a track if ever there was one, it's going to be a wild one for these cars.
Yeah, you can run in so many different lanes at Homestead, Miami. I can't wait to get that show on the road. I mean, there are 3, 4, 5 different lanes that you can pick at Miami to find some clean air. So I can say from experience with ARCA car, we're going to have a good show next week.
Well, before we get to all of that, still plenty of racing action to go here this afternoon. We have got ourselves with a lot up in store. The Premier Sim Racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series is out at Lime Rock Park this coming Wednesday. With the Average Joe Sim Racing League out for race number 6 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway this coming Thursday. The Bolt Racing League with their Lightning Series is out at the Chicago Street Circuit on Friday. With SRH NASCAR Classic Series taking to the biggest, baddest track on the NASCAR circuit. It's Talladega coming on up for round number 9. The final race before we get into the summer break for the Classic IndyCar Series is up next as well at Richmond. That'll be alongside the Blaze Builders ARCA Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway, along with a brand new series to the channel. It'll be the For the Boys Racing League with the Car of Tomorrow Championship. That'll be up first thing on Sunday as well. All of that takes us around to Homestead Miami Speedway, where we'll go racing once again here for the High Time Wrestling Guardian Premier Series. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name is Ola Rempel, alongside Austin Edstrom. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next time when we go racing on Monday night.